All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikar Kodash Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles, a great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth for sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanak Sa'amban Yasha'Allah from the Lions of the Yasha'Allah camp. And this is another Lions Den News and Prophecy. And this article entitled, it says, China issues ominous ominous war warning to U.S. All right, and within the it gets straight to the point in the beginning of the article. I read, probably about maybe a fourth of it before I started this lesson. I may go through the whole article, maybe not, but there's a lot of things going on right now, and there's a lot of fingers being pointed, a lot of guns or weapons or swords being pointed to the United States, man. And it's all being done by the will of Yahweh by Shemel Shai. And, we're witnessing our captivity being turned back right before our eyes. It's a beautiful thing. Scary to most people, but it's heartwarming to us, because we know this is in the end of this Esau's rulership. And, you know, we're coming into the rulership of Yahweh Shai's righteous kingdom. It's a beautiful thing, man. Totally beautiful. But Lord, one of this lesson that defines serve his purpose for the hopeful elect, ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Shai. All right, the article says China has reacted to a recent United States report weighing up the possibility of simultaneous wars against both Moscow and Beijing by warning Washington that those who play with fire will perish by it. So play with fire, you're gonna get burnt. Right, and I just did a lesson yesterday or day before yesterday saying that United States has to prepare to fight war with Russia and China simultaneously. You know, so by and then they just had a couple of what was it? It was either troops. I think it was a bunch of troops that just U.S. troops, Marines or something like that, just made it to South Korea. Um, and there was something else that like an aircraft carrier that showed up in Taiwan or something like that, or vice versa. I'm not sure what it was, but it seems like America's preparing for war to go against China and Russia, which ultimately is going to lead to their destruction. Thus saith Yahweh by Shem Shai. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. That's exactly what this article is saying. It says the United States is not ready to face the challenge of growing nuclear threat posed by Russia and China. This is according to a 145-page report released by the Congressional Commission on the Strategic Posture of the United States on Thursday. It says, in its existential challenge for which the United States is ill prepared unless its leaders make decisions now, the report states, the panel behind the report, led by bipartisan panel of 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans, produced the document after a year of research into the topic. In the report, the behavior of both Russia and China is described as militarily troubling and increasingly aggressive, something that in turn has increased the risk of conflict with 2 nuclear peers. All right. It says China is expected to reach nuclear parity with the United States mid-2030s, according to the report. It ain't gonna make it that long. It ain't gonna make it that long. We're talking about the biggest, one of the third biggest leader in nuclear weaponry. Number one being Russia, number two being the United States, and number three being China. Number one and number three have issues with number two. So who has more firepower? You know, if this says by 2030 that China's nuclear firepower will match the United States, and Russia having the most nuclear weapons on the planet, you know, it ain't going to end well for the United States. Thus saith the Lord. It says, It says, exploring a possible worst case scenario, the report focuses on the idea of a possible correlation between Russia and China against the United States. Therefore, American leaders should change the country's strategic posture and set up its military modernization according to the experts. All right, it says, however, in Beijing, talks of possible war with the United States have apparently caused anger and resentment. This was made clear by a piece of recently published in the Global Times, the official newspaper of the Chinese Communist Party. Discussing the report, the newspaper writes, the idea of preparing for possible simultaneous war with Russia and China, once a fringe fantasy, has gradually made its way into Washington's agenda, which is deeply unsettling. The article adds that if Washington were to adopt even a small portion of the recommendations in this report, the harm and threats it could pose to world peace would be immeasurable and would ultimately backfire on the U.S. itself. So what they're saying basically is, as these nations are preparing themselves for war, putting themselves array in against Babylon roundabout, which is the United States of America, that it would even cause even more problems what by them preparing themselves for war, because initially that would seem like a provocation, because theoretically they don't know they don't know if that's what China and Russia are preparing for. But ultimately, with Russia, the only thing they're doing is preparing to protect themselves because of the West pushing eastward, engaging on Russia. Um, so Russia is protecting itself. Thus is the reason why they invaded Ukraine, to keep NATO off their back door. So it's like America is doing all this provoking of these other nations with sanctions and other things like that, putting a financial strain on these other countries, and and so while these other countries are getting sick and tired of it, they're positioning themselves to withdraw from America, and that's all they have to do. They don't have to go to war with the United States. Only thing they have to do is withdraw from using the dollar, and that's war within itself. That'll force America to have to go into a hot war, because they're going to have to forcefully bully their way back in, to regain their hegemony back. So they would have to, so where they'd be able to use the dollar again, as a global currency or some form of that, which they're going to turn that into a digital form of the dollar and try to still regain the hegemony that it once had in the earth. But it's going to continue to depreciate and dwindle, because America is never going to be the powerhouse nation that everybody thought it was ever again. All right, back to the article. It says, this piece then issues a warning. There is an old Chinese saying, those who play with fire will perish by it, right? So, and that's just it. Just like he that killed with sword shall be killed with the sword. He that leads in captivity shall go into captivity. These are all these plagues that we had to go through are going to be sent out on these other nations, man. It says, this is something that is worth Washington's careful consideration. The article condemned the bipartisan report as reckless for promoting a nuclear arms race under the banner of deterrence, describing it as a disastrous step backward in history. It says the piece added that the American report was as excoriating the threat posed by China, and said that it is motivation to create a warlike atmosphere was highly suspicious. It says Newsweek contacted the United States Institute of Peace and Comment by email on Saturday. It is not the first warning that China has given to the United States, as relations between the two countries have worsened Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Beijing's increasingly aggressive stance towards Taiwan, last month the Global Times published an co-op article containing a warning to the United States over the support to Taiwan, whose independence is contested by Beijing. All right, so see that. So now, neither keepeth at home, and the largest desires is hell. Always meddling in another man's affairs, and that's the history of America. That's the history of Esau itself. But they're using the United States to meddle in everybody's affairs, going to all these different countries, changing the way they do things, changing the regime, doing whatever they feel like it is necessary to do to get them to conform to their agenda, which is the New World Order is a total satanic rule over the earth. And they want to do that by controlling everything. All right. It says the Chinese mainland has never promised to renounce the use of force, and this is the sword of Damocles hanging over the United States government and Taiwan authorities. The article in the Chinese state-run news outlet read, the United States is keeps arming Taiwan by selling a large amount of weapons and equipment to Taiwan and encouraging Taiwan to reject reunification with force, and a move that aims to incite tensions across the straits and will inevitably exacerbate the tensions between China and the United States, which may lead to a conflict, the Global Times piece added. All right, so now, what are you seeing? America becoming in the straits, and so now this place is going to be burnt with nuclear fire, right? But that tension, that's a fire of adversity. America is in an adverse situation right now, man. They're, you know what I'm saying? It's a conflict on every side in this place. Yahweh Shimon Shai is setting them up, put yourself array against her round about. All that been the bow shoot at her, and this is what these other nations are setting up to do. All right? So let me get a scripture to close it out, man. It's 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 16. It says, no, chapter 16, 2nd Ezra chapter 16, it says, woe unto thee, Babylon, woe in Asia, woe unto thee, Egypt and Syria. All right, so all these nations, and Russia included, right, even though it's not listed right there, but all these nations, right, that are rising up against Babylon, the Most High is rising up against Babylon. But guess what? He's against them too. Even though he's going to use these other nations, mainly Russia, to destroy America, he's going to ultimately turn and destroy them too. Because after America falls, the United States falls, now you're going to have Russia trying to prop themselves up as being the next powerhouse nation, but it's not going to happen. The Lord's going to set up his righteous kingdom and righteous rule on earth. All right? It says, gird up, verse 2, it says, gird up yourselves with clothes of sack and hair, and bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Right? The Lord has a judgment against all these nations, not just America. Not only that, and also 2/3 of our people. Verse 3, it says, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Right. Ain't nothing gonna turn this back. It says a fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? And what did that say? Whoever plays with fire shall be what? Shall be what does it say? Will perish by it. Right? And there's nobody else that's going to quench the fire. So when Yahushua shows up, all this is going to be going on. And so we said, if the fire be already kindled, what will I if the fire already be kindled? He ain't coming to put it out. He's coming to add more to the fire. The fuel is already there. He's coming to add the flame. Right? It says, verse 5, it says, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? So they can have all the negotiations and peace treaties they want to have, but this ain't going to just go away. You can't sweep this under the rug. The Lord's bringing judgment. Verse 6, it says, may a man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it had been begun to burn? All right. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer, right? And you can't turn the Yahweh Shemel shots, making sure all these arrows are shot off, and they ain't return back. They're not, and they all gonna meet their mark. It says, verse 8. This is the point. It says, the mighty Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? Right? Who is he that can quench the fire that the Lord is sending out? The judgment that the Lord is sending out. It said what was Reverend paraphrasing? The plagues are off sent. Not the plague, but it's the word that was sent. But basically these judgments, these plagues are gonna be sent back to back to back to back to back until it performs the will of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, Lord, willing this lesson was edifying to serve this purpose without like Sekah Halayim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakah Kodash, my mouth. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herwan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.